everyone, welcome in to our Preps on 11 Web Extra, getting you ready for Week 5 of high school football. Tyler Cash joined as always by Scorebook Live's Nate Olson, and now we're in the thick of it. It's the middle of the season. We're a week into conference play now. We kind of started to figure out who these teams are.
We will. It's kind of like each week you're going to find out a little bit more. The sad thing is that we're getting to be close to halfway done with the season. And I really enjoyed coming here talking with you, and I miss you over the winter and not talking about high school football. But we'll enjoy the next few weeks. We got several weeks of the regular season and the playoffs to still enjoy this. 15 weeks total is what we have all the way through. But halfway through the regular season, and I think the non-conference season was pretty telling for some teams, and now it's even more. And in the next couple of weeks, we'll really talk about some major matchups coming up.
All right, let's start at Mayflower. That's where Razorback commit Grayson Wilson and CAC head this week. What do you see in that one?
Wilson, you mentioned him. I mean, of course, he's getting a lot of notoriety being a Razorback commit. But when you look at the numbers, over 1,400 yards passing, 18 touchdowns, only one interception, 320 yards rushing. He is playing like a major Division I recruit. And especially like at the 4A level, I think that's important. We talked about that the week that the Bauxite played them. You've got guys like that on the team, and like Bauxite has too. I think it really stands out, in 4A. And so him playing better than he did as a sophomore and a new coach in Ryan Howard, they've been my pick all year long to make a run in the playoffs, a team that hasn't had much success. The recipe is there with a new head coach and a guy that can carry the team. And I think there is some other talent there. They've got some good receivers. Defensively, they play pretty good. But that's a good league when you have, Marcus Wimberly at Bauxite and, Pottsville's at the top. And then you've got Mayflower. And this is kind of a game is for, who can be second, maybe behind them. And so it's a big, big game because you want to be in that upper echelon of the league. And this is going to go a long way to deciding this game.
All right, couple 7A Central matchups this week we want to talk about. North Little Rock getting off the schneid last week, proving they can win one, and heck, why not win against a 7A Central team, even if it is Little Rock Central, who has struggled the last few years. Now they get the opposite of that. They get the top of the conference in Conway. Can the Charging Wildcats make any noise in this one?
I think so, but, Conway is playing even better than I thought. I mean, we talked about it, I think, last week that we knew Week 10 they'd be better than they were Week 1, but I think the timetable is even pushed up more. I think that
makes Week 10 really scary.
Yeah, and we know who they play Week 10. We won't mention that team, but
it's Bryant.
Yeah. Spoiler alert. That's only been marked on the calendars in those two places since June, but they have really progressed. I mean, and Chris O'Neill, the receiver, and Donovan Amolo, I mean, they have been dynamite. I mean, Amolo, we knew he did well last year, but those two guys are on the same page. I think it's like 17 or 18 touchdowns that Amolo already has. He had 15 the first 3 games. So they are hard to stop. You're North Little Rock. I mean, you're just trying to, that game was like a get-well game maybe, but you might want to have another one this week, and then I don't know if they can completely get well with one game. And I just think too, North Little Rock, when you look at the adversity that's happened over the last 5 or 6 years there, 4 or 5 years with the different coaches, it's kind of caught up with them a little bit. But Clint Reed, I think he can stabilize things. But when you talk about having a little bit of bump in the road or something's wrong with your program, in that league, you don't have weeks off really. I mean, I know Little Rock Central is having a lot of struggles, and most everybody's going to beat them, but that's about it. I mean, that's about it now, especially with some of the other teams that have improved. So this is a really tough task for them. I think it's going to be hard. I mean, one of the main reasons I want to talk about them is just because Conway, and I think that a lot of people will go to that game to see them because I really do think that they're better, and we thought that they were a state championship contender. I think now we know it. I mean, for sure. And we think that probably 2 teams from the Central will be playing in the championship game. That's how confident we are in them and Bryant.
which when I first moved to Arkansas 8 years ago would have been an almost unthinkable sentence.
Yeah.
But ever since that switch, that again, it was North Little Rock who finally ended the streak, and here we are now. All right, sticking in the 7A Central with the team that, like I said, on the up and up, Little Rock Southwest, and I think, and they're taking on Cabot this week. To me, it kind of mirrors in the 7A West a little bit what we saw last week with Fort Smith Southside and Rogers. Southside being the Southwest, the team that hasn't had a lot of success recently but is trying to make this the year they make the jump up to the next level. And Rogers, a team that's not the top tier of the conference. Like Cabot, they're not Conway, they're not Bryant right now, but they're right on that level, and both teams kind of trying to move up. I
love that analogy. That's spoken like a guy who covered the 7A West before, but that's a good comparison. Southwest first. So, they start the program 3 or 4 years ago. Patton comes in. He runs the run-oriented offense. He's known for having prolific quarterbacks up at Fayetteville and everything. Now they're back to running the spread. And frankly, we had really high expectations. I don't know if maybe we had too high of expectations for them. I think this game goes a long way to kind of showing who they really are. I think if they win this game, then they've established themselves as a possible third team in that, which we kind of thought, third or fourth maybe. But if they lose it, then maybe they're not quite ready for prime time. But the season is long, and I think it also depends if they lose the game, how it happens. I mean, if they get blown out, it's not good. If they take Cabot to the wire. And I think this will be a close game. I think this is a breakout game for them. They've been a little up and down. They got beat by Rogers really bad, and they beat Heritage really bad, and it's been a little up and down for them. But this is a big game because I think the winner of it will be the third seed. I do not think that Cabot can beat Bryant or Conway. And at the beginning of the year, I did think that, but I don't think that now. So this is a big opportunity for Southwest. It could put them on the map a little bit. And like you said, kind of like with the Southside situation, they've got a lot of talent. And the Cabot point of view, I think they're going to be better towards the end of the year. I think, we kind of undervalued, the fact that they lost so many kids. And they lost two great a quarterback and running back. And the progression's been a little slower. So that's a big game for them too, because they want to be considered in that top echelon. They want us to say that they can beat Conway and Bryant, because we said that last year. So,
and they've been right there.
They have been right there. Yeah, they have been
right
there. And that's why when coming into this year, I felt like they were one of the teams. Last couple of years, I make a list. Who could beat Bryant? I mean, that's kind of the game you play in July when there's nothing going on. They're on that list this year because of the physicality. They had some really great linemen, and they gave Bryant a real tough time. But it does seem like things are slower to click now. They have played some really tough teams, playing Louisiana team and that. So we will see both of these teams their true colors this week, I think.
All right, and then we talk a lot about Week 10, the end of the season, deciding conferences, but our game of the week this week, a game that might decide a conference a little earlier on, Marion making the trip to Benton.
Yeah. The knock on Marion, they have not played a great schedule. They've played, lower classes. They played, Wynn, who is really struggling with the tornado. They're finally getting things back on track a little bit. But that would be the knock on them. But they've had Benton's number, 3 out of 4. Last year they came into Benton, or played Benton over there, and Benton took care of them pretty handily. They were pretty banged up. They didn't have Ashton Gray, their quarterback, playing. He's back. They've got a really good linebacker in Dwayne Williams. They're a good team, and I just said that they may be, a little overrated, but this is where they can prove that they belong. And there is enough talent there where they could beat Benton. And Benton is nosed. I mean, they snuck up on them twice, in the playoffs. And last year they were ready for them, and they'll be ready for them again. The thing that I'm so impressed with Benton is Drew Davis. I mean, a sophomore who his first 2 starts have been fantastic. I mean, just unbelievable. He threw for 2,000 yards as a 9th grader. He really hasn't missed a beat once he got in there, and took the starting job over. He's been terrific. Braylon Russell is healthy, it seems like. He was a little banged up a couple games ago when he came back. I think he's more healthy now. So that'll be a really good game. Around the state this week, there's not just a tremendous amount of big games, but that I think is a really big one and will be fun to watch it.
All right, you'll be able to watch highlights from that one, plus a whole host of other games coming your way Friday night on what else? The Friday Night Blitz.